You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, and today we're going to talk about being true to yourself. And that's tough because sometimes we're challenged by other people's beliefs, by feeling as though we have to check certain boxes in life, even though we may feel we're not ready, or maybe we want a different box than what everybody else thinks. But being true to yourself, it's really a quest through life that we try to strive for. So we're going to be talking about that today, and I encourage you to call in at 800-333-0001 if you're struggling with a place in your life where you're not sure. Should you go right? Should you go left? Do you go forward? How do you make those decisions? How do you be true to yourself and knowing what you should do? How you should approach life. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Also, we're going to have our inspirational guest coming up in our next segment, Jerron Herman. And he is fascinating. You guys are going to love his story. Born with cerebral palsy, but yet he went on to be a dancer of all things. Everybody said that he would never be able to dress himself or do anything like that. And here he is just living his dream. So you don't want to miss that. Also, we want to hear from you. If you have any questions on today's show, please reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com because we want to make sure that you get the resources that you need to stay empowered, to stay motivated. And most of all, even I like to listen to motivational songs or podcasts, and I want you to know that you can go to livingfullout.com to hear today's show again or any of our episodes. It's all about just that constant reinforcement, that positivity. And what I love about this show is a lot of times we hear from callers and what they're struggling with, or we hear about how inspirational guests overcame a challenge or a disability in their life. And trust me, I sit here every day in this chair and I'm just overwhelmed with the amount of people that are resilient and yet focused on really living a life full out. And by doing that, they're being true to themselves. So it's really thinking about where in your life you'd like to overcome that hurdle, overcome that challenge. That's what we're focusing on today. So I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a caller in the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for calling in. How can we help you?
Well, I'm the youngest of three, and I find that a lot of the time my siblings gang up on me, and I want to know how to not let it affect me.
You know what? I'm the youngest of three, so I hear you, right? That's sometimes a tough place to be. You get all the hand-me-downs, and everybody's done everything first. But what is it that they say or do that affects you so much? Is it that they pick at you, or is it they bully you, or do they just not believe in you?
Mainly it's that they call me a princess, and they think that I get my way all the time, even though I don't.
Well, take this in the best way. In my family, my middle sister is our princess. So, princess is not a bad thing. And actually, being someone who has a certain standard, a certain way of being. See, today we're talking about being true to yourself. And I would guess, because of your confidence and the fact that you're even calling in about this, I would actually take that as a credit to you, not a negative. So you're someone that's confident.
Okay.
I bet your siblings, they will never tell you this, but I bet there's a part of that they wish they had that same confidence. Because I do. I look at my middle sister, who's our princess of our family, and she just has a certain way about her and certain expectations. And I personally admire that very much. Now, at the same time, consider the fact that the whole journey of life is meant for us to develop, to personally develop and become the best version of ourselves we can be. And if somebody says that you're a princess, but you say, I don't want to be a princess. That's not who I am. I'm a fighter. Or I'm not a fighter. I'm a team player. Or I'm a leader. The great thing is you can change the narrative of how people see you at any time. So if they see you as a princess, but you don't want to be that, you don't want that label, then you have to figure out who do you want them to see you as, and then be more of that. So let's say you wanted them to see you as a leader, not a princess, although actually they both have very confident qualities, just in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Then you might look at, okay, if I want them to see me as a leader, but not a princess, in what way can I be more assertive, more confident, more courageous, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then the thing is your siblings are the ones shining the light on this for you, but you also want to question how many other people might see you like that, or how do other people see you? Maybe you turn to friends in your life and say, I'm just curious, how do you see me? If you were to describe me in any way, how do you see me? And see how many people say princess. See how many people say leader. Maybe somebody would say you're mother-like. Who knows?
Okay.
So I wouldn't look at it as a negative. I would look at it as a good, useful amount of information to evolve, to be who you want to be. Do you see that?
Yes. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, and for today, be a princess, because I think it's great. I would not be ashamed of it. All right? Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for calling in.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, man, I need a crown. I want to be a princess on certain days, but some days I'm the jester. Some days, actually, my family even said sometimes I'm like the dog of the family, the puppy, the lovable puppy. So, I don't know. Family will always tell you how they really feel. But we're going to go back to the phone lines now and check in with another caller. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out show. Hi, welcome to the show. Hi, thank you for calling in. How can I help you?
I just wanted to ask a question. About workout wise.
Sure.
So, if I were to work out every single day, but if I wanted to have one piece of cake, is it common for me to feel guilty about having a sweet after working out?
Well, only you know that. And here's why I say that, is because only you know if you are going to consider that as a reward or a punishment. So think about it. In life, you can always go through life and look at a glass half full or half empty, right? In this way, if you eat that treat, are you going to look at it and punish yourself for eating that treat over and over again? Or are you going to eat that treat and say, you know what? I deserve this. How would you look at it?
I would like to reward myself after working hard.
Well, then why don't you?
That would be the best option.
Now, is it possible?
But at the same time, if I felt like I was gaining weight, is that still the same?
Well, so here's the thing. So maybe you have one donut, you don't have a whole box of donuts, right? Maybe you have, if you go and buy a candy bar, let's say some Twix, maybe you have just one Twix and give the other one away to a friend, right? Maybe if you go to the movie theater.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, maybe if you go to the movie theater, you get a kid-sized popcorn, not a large, right? So it's just about quantifying that treat. But I think you do deserve it. And here's what you know this already, is that when we crave something, if we don't allow ourselves to have it, the craving gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's when you do eat the whole box of donuts.
Yeah.
So here's what I propose. What treat are you just salivating for? Like, what do you want? What's the treat that you're going to give yourself today?
Definitely a donut.
There you go. There you go. And as soon as we get off the phone, I want you to make a plan, go get that donut, But think about, this is your one donut, right? For a little while, because you're not going to have a donut tomorrow. You're not going to have a donut the next day. So make sure it's a really good donut. Okay?
Right.
And apply that to anything in life. Have it be a really good blank, whatever it is. Okay? But thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So again, part of being true to ourselves is finding out, who are we? Are we a princess? Are we courageous? Are we a leader? Being true to ourselves is, do we allow ourselves to have a donut, or do we restrict ourselves? It's all that journey. It's figuring out, what do we want from life? What do we deserve? And then going for it. Living full out is meant to be fun, right? So have fun with it. That's why we're talking about being true to yourself today. So when we come back, we're going to be joined by our inspirational guest, Jerron Herman. And again, his story is awesome. How does a gentleman with cerebral palsy become a dancer? You'll find out. We'll be right back after this break.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about being true to yourself. So here's the thing. How do you do that? How do you even know what you want sometimes? And then we have these limitations, these burdens that sometimes get placed on us in life. And our inspirational guest today, Jerron Herman, he did not let the limitation of being born with cerebral palsy hold him back. In fact, he dreamed big. He thought of being a writer, but then he became a dancer. How did he do that? So I'd like to welcome Jerron to the show. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. You know what? Ever since I met you, I have just thought not only are you a dancer, but you're like a character, not only in your craft, but in life. And you all will know what I mean when he starts to talk. Like, I just want to soak you up, because you're such an imaginary dreamer-like person. And I really love that and appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to be here.
Well, and can you share with our audience, first of all, about your disability? I know you were obviously born with it, but how has it affected you in your early life?
Wow. Well, cerebral palsy is a neuromuscular disorder that manifests on my left side of my body, and it's a particular strain called hemiplegia. So growing up, it was a task to try and understand how my body operates and how both sides work together and how they don't. Yeah.
Okay. And your left side is primarily the one that you don't have as much feeling and control over, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you were born, obviously your family wanted to give you all the resources possible to help you grow and develop, but yeah, they treated you just like one of the family. You and your brother had to do all the chores neck and neck, right? But
Yes.
But the other kids, they weren't as kind necessarily. In what ways did they kind of pick at you or bully you in the early years?
I really experienced bullying on the playground, or experienced, aspects of isolation, or even being ostracized based on what I could do and how effective I was, like they were. So I remember exactly around third grade, as I understood what my disability meant. I remember having to explore it in real time. So I was at the monkey bars like any other normal kid, and realizing that I couldn't cross the monkey bars as easily as my friends with use of both of their hands. And that would lead, that was a really was a point for me, because now my friends had evidence of my difference, and so it was we were able to pick at that difference more cleanly and more clearly, and so it was always difficult to try and come together with them and try and act like they did. Slowly, they would mock me or mimic me sometimes, mimic how I walked or how I moved my arm, and that was hard. Yeah.
And you know, especially being a child and still just trying to figure out your own body and how it functions, and how did you compartmentalize that pressure? How did you handle that?
Well, I used it really to my advantage. I mean, once I recognized my difference, I think that I started to develop an imagination around what could be my experience and what could be my environment or the environment that I would eventually be a part of. So if the playground at this point looked like a battleground, then I would aspire to an environment that I had helped in creating, one that was inclusive, one that was, looked beyond the exterior, and was something that I wanted to be a part of. So from the get-go, I think I was living a creative, a creative, imaginative life where I thought of my adult life as the place where I would recapitulate my childhood experience. So I took it as evidence of what I didn't want to see in my world when I got older and when I could have more agency for the environment that I was a part of.
Well, and with your condition, so many early on probably told your family, you know, he's not going to be able to dress himself. He's going to need a lot of support. But as you grew older, you had this kind of fearless, pioneering independence. And I love that you wanted to take your disability, but yet, you know, really enhance it and make it like a part of you in a positive way. Where did that maturity come from?
I do attribute a lot of it to my parents never pigeonholing me into a certain kind of look or feel of a disabled person. Of course, like you said, chores were normal, and I never had to compensate or overcompensate. But in general, I think that art really just propelled me to even think outside the box. Regardless of my disability, I was really interested in storytelling and creating story and creating environments that would, you know, be counter to what my daily experience was. So I think that's where the maturity came from, and this understanding that there was a precedent for people like me to create and to inhabit and just do different.
Well, and one of your teachers, didn't they encourage you to be a writer? Because, you know, in writing,
Yes.
You could do that despite your disability, right?
Yes, exactly. Particularly my third grade teacher, Mrs. Andrews, was the one who had first inspired me to even consider an artistic career, and that was through writing. And I hadn't really thought about this until I got older, but I think that writing for the stage or for television or film was a way that I could participate in the arts without having to physically be present. And that was a little bit even more appetitive because
Yeah, well, and I imagine the writing is what kind of gave you hope, right? Hope that you could still be successful, you know, despite, you know, wherever your body might take you in terms of challenges. Now, I want you to stay with us, Jerron, because we are going to go to a commercial break, but this is really where the story, like, jumps up a level in terms of even inspiring me. Like, I love it. So stay with us. When we come back, we'll be picking up this interview, and it's all about being true to yourself today. And I want everybody to think about, you know, just as he had to take his walk and figure out what fired him up, what his passions were, over the course of the show, you want to figure out what are yours. And so we'll be coming right back, picking up the interview. This is the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about being true to yourself and what you need to do to attain those goals and dreams. And a goal and a dream can be big, and it can also be one that's small, just something you want to achieve today. So don't be overwhelmed by those. But we want to go ahead and jump back into our interview. We're talking with Jerron Herman, who was born with cerebral palsy, but he did not let that limit him from going on and achieving his dream as a writer, as a dancer. I mean, how did he do all that? So I'd very much like to welcome him back to the show.
Hey, thanks, Nancy.
Of course. So at the end of the last segment, we were talking about, all that you encountered over the years, with bullying and kind of people making fun of you. But at the same time, you had supporters. You had your family, you had your teacher that encouraged you to consider a career in writing. And you did that. You actually went off to New York and started living your dream. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, I booked a one-way ticket to New York City, and I think that was symbolic of how I thought of it, that I was going to I wasn't planning on coming back. I wasn't planning on coming back to elements of my life that weren't what I wanted them to be or how I wanted them to be. So I was so gung-ho about making New York my own, my playground, and really to edit the kinds of experiences that I had as a child and as a young adolescent.
And I love that. We all should buy a one-way ticket somewhere and go experience that.
Exactly.
But so oftentimes life happens, and it did. It came in the form for you of a financial crisis that you had to move back home for. And that was a bit like packing up that dream and having to buy a ticket back home. How did you handle that transition?
Well, so I got into NYU's Tisch School of the Arts for dramatic writing. And so I was in a conservatory setting where I could expect high-order conversations around drama and theater and writing with a cohort of other young writers and professional writers who were experts. And so to have to leave that, I felt like a failure. I felt like I had failed my dream and failed myself, and that I would have to expect many years or many a long period of time before I could start up again. But thankfully, I had one trick up my sleeve in the form of transferring in the middle of the year to another school also in New York City. And though it was not particularly an arts program, it wasn't a conservatory as well, it did allow me to stay in the city. And unbeknownst to me, it even gave me a critical classical liberal arts education that I didn't know as an artist I would also be feeding into. So it was, to say the least, a blessing in disguise to be able to go back to New York the following semester, pretty much no time in between. There was the winter break. And I went, transferred to the King's College, and that's where I graduated. And actually, this past year was just named one of their alumni of the year.
Oh, look at you. Look at you. The accomplishments keep on coming. But now, I want to go back because I think it's really important to understand when you did have to make that initial move and leave school and you were so enjoying it. One of the life lessons that you really got was that you just had to be okay with kind of taking that step back, with allowing, a couple years of time to not be exactly what you had planned. And I think a lot of times we get so in a rut, in a groove of things have to be a certain way. And that's just kind of who you are anyway, but you kind of released those expectations for yourself and just let yourself be. And I'm wondering, how did you do that?
Well, I knew that if I had kept, excuse me, I had kept one standard of my experience, I would be disappointed for the rest of my life because I wasn't going to be able to go back to that school. So if I had continued to think of it as this was my one and only validity of my dream, then I would be disappointed for the rest of my life, and I would not come back from that. So I had to extrapolate the dream. I had to blow it up. I had to think of it from a 30,000 foot view, and see it as something that wasn't necessarily constrained to one aspect, here college, here conservatory, but what other aspects did it entail, and it was still storytelling. It was still discovering how to participate in the arts. It was still about New York City and investing in the culture and creating culture. So if the direct aspect of my dream was not going to be fulfilled, then I had to think of it from its many entries and many aspects in order for it to survive. Because there were going to be more times when it would be tested and pushed against. So I had to give it more room to really fill the room.
You know, I love that. I just love that. That is so living full out and just refreshing. And I really hope everybody kind of got that lesson, because it's a really good one. And you did kind of, you know, soak up every life experience during that time. But now this is where your life takes an unexpected turn, because you think one day that you're going to show up to go assist an instructor with like a dance class. But then all of a sudden he says, no, get in there, participate. What? I'm a writer. I'm not a dancer. Tell us about that moment, because I can feel it.
Yeah. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. But there was incredible moments prior to my dance career wherein a individual just saw potential, and for whatever reason, you know, I happen to think that because I was untrained in dance and didn't know about what it meant to be a dancer, that my other qualities, my personality, my sense of abandonment, and, you know, previously this gun-ho, just take life as it comes and be creative with life, really stepped in the gap of my, you know, lack of expertise in the dance field, in the dance world. So when I met Jerron Herman, who is a friend now, who would eventually introduce me to the director of Heidi Latsky Dance and my dance career, pretty much, he, how to say it, he just engaged me on a different level than anyone has engaged me. Similarly to Mrs. Andrews, you know, someone who noticed my impulse to be present and then just expanded it. So, he kind of harassed me the week that I met him. Monday through, you know, Wednesday, if you will, taught me about dance history and just talked to me about just very basic things. But by Thursday, was giving me a ringing phone with Heidi Latsky's manager on the other line, and brokered an audition for me the following week.
Wow.
And by the following week, I was in a studio auditioning for the first time. And following that audition, I had joined a dance company.
And which is so amazing, Jerron, because, I mean, you know, you have cerebral palsy, you know, you can't control your left side. And for so many, they might think, you know, they look at dancers with poise and precision, and they know they make every move an accurate move, but there's no way you could make it completely an accurate move in every way. So, was that scary?
That was the funniest thing, that I had already, these people who had come from a dance lineage in the modern dance world where different bodies were valued, people who were quirky and different are different colors for the canvas. They're not seen as other or lacking or outside of the realm of dance. You know, it's about seeing the person in front of you, and that's what they had always espoused from the beginning. So I wasn't I wasn't fearful of being outside of the realm.
Well, and I just think it's fantastic that you've been able to now have a successful, dancing career for years, and it doesn't look like it's stopping. And the great thing is where before you thought that you had to turn to only writing because, maybe your body, your disability, you thought you couldn't incorporate that in. And now here you are dancing, and the disability is actually a positive. It enhances your ability to do your craft, which I think is great.
Yeah.
So I really want to thank you today for being on the show because, again, I think you serve as a great example for how, when we think we have a limitation or a disability or a scar or a flaw, you can take all that and you can make it a beautiful positive, just like you did.
Thank you.
And
yes,
yeah,
I want to live full out always.
and you definitely are. And so everybody definitely check him out online. I mean, you're just, like I said, you're a character inside and out as you dance, but also just in your motivation. So thank you very much for being on today's show.
Well, it's just my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And as everybody kind of thinks further today about being true to themselves, and again, where is that limitation? Where is that block? Where is that struggle? What are people telling you in terms of you can't do something or it won't work out? If you look at Jerron's story, or if you look at someone in your life that you admire who is true to themselves, it's about figuring out, how did they do that? How did they stay on a path to achieve that dream? And what I encourage you to do is ask them. The most interesting thing that I've learned in time is when I see people in my life that are doing something really well, I cheer them on, but I ask them, how do you stay so dedicated, so determined, so focused? And just one little nugget of inspiration can just turn your head a certain direction or lead you down a path that you needed to go on. So I encourage you today to recognize in your life, where are people being true to themselves, and interview them. Find out, how do they do that? Now, when we come back after this break, we're going to be taking your calls. Again, that's 800-333-0001. And no questions too big or too small. It's all about getting over that hump, being true to yourself, figuring out what you want and going for it. That's what it means to live full out. So I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. Stay with us. We'll be back.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
All right, here we are, final segment of the show. And the thing is when I think of being true to myself, it's really about integrity. It's when you are by yourself at home and you want to be that person that you want everybody to see you as. You got to be that same person behind closed doors when no one else is there. So I want you to think about that, because as you put yourself out there and you want to be a certain career professional or a certain friend, a certain partner or lover, whoever you're with, you want to be that same person when you're by yourself. And it's having that integrity will allow you to more easily attain being true to yourself. And it's also about being honest. And sometimes when we're honest, we have to confront what's not working. And sometimes what irritates us, frustrates us, makes us anxious. And again, to some, that might feel like you're projecting a burden or being a flaw or anything like that, but it's really not. Remember that when you're true to yourself, you're transparent, you're vulnerable, you're letting people in, and you're saying, I'm not perfect, but I'd really like to be this way. I'm 30 pounds overweight, but I'd like not to be, and this is what I'm doing, and being honest about if you eat a cheeseburger or you have a donut, or if you want a certain career, being honest with the people in your life as to what you might need to do in terms of the boundaries you might need to put up to become that person, to protect yourself from being able to go down the path that you want and not be distracted. So there's so much that actually goes into being true to yourself that, again, we encourage you always to call in and get the support that you need. In fact, we have a caller that's calling in now. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, thank you for calling in. How can we help you today?
Yeah, so I've been feeling pretty stressed out in my graduate program that I'm in right now. I'm currently trying to figure out what career path I want to go down, and it feels like I'm casting a very wide net, whereas everyone else seems to know what their focus area is, and it's been causing me a lot of anxiety, and so I was hoping you could help me with that.
You know what? I feel you, because that can be very stressful. Don't you hate those people that have it all figured out? They just walk perfectly. No, I'm kidding. We don't really hate them, but yeah. but honestly, those people who figure it out right away, bravo to them. Although, keep in mind, sometimes it looks like they have it all figured out, but who knows really who is spearheading that journey? Sometimes it's parents, sometimes it's other influences, and those people might turn around later and be like, "Oh my gosh, this wasn't what I really wanted," right? So remember that. Yeah. You know, if we all had glass houses, right, we could see what each other are doing. The only person you can control is yourself. So what you want to do is don't worry about comparing yourself with other people. You're an original. There's just one you. Mm-hmm. So when you consider people professionally that you admire, and what is the field of interest that you're going into for your career?
I'm looking at nonprofits.
Okay. So what you want to consider is what are some of the nonprofits, maybe the organizations themselves, that intrigue you, but go even beyond that. Who are some of the leaders or the team players in those organizations that you respect? There's an opportunity there for you to connect with them on LinkedIn, pick up the phone, give them a call, send them an email, say, I'd love to chat with you on the phone, or could I come by the office and shadow you for a day? Or, could I buy you coffee? And just ask them to share with you. How did they get to where they are? Did they have moments of indecision? And I think they're going to respect you for that. I think you're going to get a lot of clarity as to the different avenues that they went down and the decisions they made. Have you considered doing that?
Yeah, that's actually a really great idea. I've done a little bit of that, but I think I could definitely do more and talk to more people to get a better understanding of their journeys to where they are and why they picked the avenue that they did. Exactly.
So you know how, like you're saying, that you cast a wide net? Take that net, but now apply it to networking. Cast a large net of networking. Come up with a list of 50 organizations. Come up with 25 people that you want to talk to on the phone or meet. I mean, go big, right? And I promise you, after you talk to those folks, you're going to get some clarity. And you might get a job. Might get an internship.
Yeah.
Right? So when everybody else is just going through the motions, going to class, and they're zoomed in on who they're going to be, they're not doing the busy work. They're not making the same networking contacts that you'll be doing as you figure out your journey.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to do great. Yeah. So let us know how it goes. But thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, and everybody, I want to thank you all for listening today. And remember, it's all about being true to yourself. And it's not a walk in the park. It's not something that you necessarily figure out in a snap. Life is meant to be lived. It's a journey. So don't rush it. Figure out what's your favorite meal. The perfect relationship. What does that look like? The ideal career, what does that look like? And just know that every step you take is getting you closer and closer to being true to yourself. I want to thank everybody for listening. Our entire Living Full Out family is here, dedicated to you each week. And next week, we'll be back with more interviews, keeping you motivated. Most importantly, I'm wishing you all a great day. Here's to you living your life full out. I'm Nancy Solari, and we will see you next week. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, living full out.
Thank you for watching the Living Full Out YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit the like button. And if you're interested in the content we provide, feel free to hit the subscribe button. Now, for more inspirational content, click the video on the right to get to know me, Nancy Solari, host of the Living Full Out Show and certified life coach, in more detail. Click the video on the left and you'll be motivated by the Living Full Out radio show and our inspirational guests and callers. Keep in mind, we welcome your comments. If you're empowered, let us know. Feel free to leave a comment. We would enjoy hearing from you. And here's to you, living your life full out.